Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Ribbon Lounge podcast.
Welcome back to the lounge.
It's a podcast for your ears.
And your mind.
Oh, blowing those mind holes.
Yes. And your nose holes.
Just a reminder for all you beautiful time-traveling listeners out there, from our time to your time, from our space to your space. This is just a podcast of topics.
Yes.
Weird, wacky, wonderful. www.facebook.com/BRLPFB.
Yes.
That's where we're at.
That's where it's at. That's where we got our little community of 5 people.
2 of them are us.
Yes.
And but this is just a jumping off place. We find some stuff that we like to think about, and we talk about them.
Yes.
And then you listen about them. And if it sparks off a little bit of an idea with you, feel free to go check it out. Learn stuff about it. Tell us where we're wrong in the comments. I won't take it personally.
I
promise.
challenge you to find out if I'm wrong.
Oh,
yeah.
A challenge has been proposed. Shall you accept? This message will self-destruct in about an hour.
Yeah.
We try to keep it to an hour.
Roundabout.
Yeah, we don't want to take all of your time.
Right.
Because we appreciate you being here.
Yes, and listening to our jumping off points.
Yeah, like diving boards.
Right.
Like
I think it's like listening to, say you're like on a subway or a bus or on the plane or someplace in public, and you hear 2 friends and they're talking pseudo-intellectually about a topic, and you're like, that's pretty interesting. I wonder if they're right.
Yeah,
I'm going to give it a goog.
We're like 2 seats over, chit-chatting, a little too loud for the situation.
Yeah, but interesting enough that you're like,
oh, I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if those idiots are right.
Yeah.
Maybe we are.
Possibly.
Maybe we're not.
Who knows?
You can find out. If you want, let us know.
Yeah.
Or just listen
and
have some fun with us.
And like I said, I feel like we give you enough information that you could win an argument.
Yes.
Because then you could be like, we'll Google it, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, it says right here.
Yeah, we just Google topics and take what the AI says right off the top. That's what I'm reading right now. I said, Google, how do I explain my podcast? And it said, say this, and also bring up that you Googled this, because AI is my overlord.
Yes, it says, give a shout out to AI.
Hello, AI. Thank you for listening.
Right.
And also you crazy listeners out
Yes.
there. We do appreciate it. We're kind of rambling on a bit.
A little rambly intro.
It's
It's how we loosen up before we get into the meats.
Ooh. I had this one on my list for a while. We haven't hit the podcast list, the master list, for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that sometime and both dive into one thing. But
Yeah.
I also like this free form.
Right.
We changed it up a little while ago. But do you mind if I start, Dave? Would you prefer to go first? Do you have any shout-outs?
I have a shout out to
Who?
a campsite.
Oh, campsite.
Yeah, I'm blow the spot up.
Camp Anawana?
No, it was called Angel Creek.
Oh, Angel Creek.
It's in Norway.
Whoa, what the? Who's a jigga?
What? Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Norway, Illinois.
Norway, Illinois. Never been.
It's super small. It's one of those uncommunicated towns or whatever they call. You know where it's a town, but it's not like a town.
Oh, it's like a township?
Yeah.
Or a village?
Yeah. It was like the first permanent settlement for Norwegian folks in Illinois.
It's where death metal was brought to the Midwest.
Possibly. Long-haired
Norwegian
blonde
death
guys
metal.
and their steel guitars.
So how far away is that from here? From the Quad Cities?
From the Quad Cities, about 2 hours.
2 hours from
Yeah.
the Davenport, Rock Island area.
Yes. It's right near Starved Rock
Oh,
National
I
Park.
hear good things about Starved Rock.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's got a lot of canyons. They're like
Yeah.
super huge, like over hundreds of feet tall.
Yeah.
And in the spring and fall, like when there's a lot of rain or snow melt, there's like 6 or 7 waterfalls.
Tight.
Yeah, but of course, when I went there was no waterfalls.
You know, our good friend Hollywood Dave just recently saw some gravitational water forces.
Yes.
He from the images online, he looked very impressed.
Very, yes, and he was very good at pointing them out.
Oh, see, if you can't tell in the picture, just follow his finger pointing.
Yes.
And you'll see it then.
Right.
It's the location where the water is falling.
Yeah.
I don't know where that was. It could have been the same place. I don't know.
I don't know. Unless it had just rained, it wasn't where we were at.
Oh, right, because
it
it
was
rain or snow melt.
Yeah, but it was also over the holiday weekend.
Yeah,
Labor
the 3
Day?
days. The
Yeah.
3-dayer.
And there was just
All of my weekends are
a lot of
5
people.
dayers.
Lots of people.
Yeah,
Which is
that's a bummer for you.
It is a boon of
You're not
mine.
a huge people person.
But I also knew that I was going to a spot where there's known to be waterfalls, so I knew there'd be a lot of people
you had to
checking it
prepare.
out. Yeah. The only thing I really wasn't prepared for was how many people looked like they were going to go to like a fancy restaurant or a club.
Just like walking around in suits and like.
Well, like decked out to the nines. They have their makeup on and like hoop
yeah.
earrings, and the guys have like slides and like
OP.
white, button-down shirts. And I'm like, are we on the same hike? Like, what are you guys doing?
That's funny.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. But I could see like in the fall on a Wednesday when school's in session,
Yeah.
it would be a cool park to go to.
Hell yeah.
You kind of have it to yourself. You can explore a little more.
On a Wednesday.
Yeah. But this Angel Creek campground was the first one I've ever been to that was private.
Oh. What
Like-
do you mean? Like it was like privately owned?
Privately owned. And when I set it up, the guy sent me an email with a code to
The Wi-Fi.
type in to unlock the gate.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you
okay.
had to lock the gate behind you when you
Okay.
came in. And there was probably like, I want to say they have like 25 campsites back there.
All right.
Some
And
of them.
Are they like? I like going to Loud Thunder because they have like foliage between the sites.
Yeah, it was like that.
Tight.
Um,
That's always a good move for a campsite.
there were like
Campground.
drive up ones that were right off the little gravel road they had
Yeah.
that, were out in the open more.
Did you get assigned a spot?
I picked a spot and it was
Okay.
like a walk-in.
First come first serve type thing.
Well, it's reserved. It was all reserved.
Oh, you picked it online.
So it is first come first serve, but you reserve it online.
Oh, okay.
And for the weekend, all the like $18 campsites that are around Starved Rock were taken.
Okay.
And this one is more, I kind of called it like a boutique
Okay.
campsite because it was like maybe $20 more.
Okay.
And they didn't have picnic tables or grates, but they had cool fire rings that were all die cut out and like
Oh, tight.
had like different scenes and stuff. And like they were all, it was all kind of close, but there was enough foliage and stuff in between that you kind of felt isolated.
And so it was a walk-in. How far do you have to walk? A couple hundred feet, or?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that 100 feet, is far enough to give you a good distance. I think.
Yeah, I mean, and sight unseen, I lucked out and I picked one that was actually at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to walk by like 3 campsites to get to ours.
Oh, okay.
But nobody was walking by ours because we were at the end.
Hell yeah.
So that kind of worked out.
Ideal.
And they didn't have running water, and they didn't have like trash receptacles, so you had to take all your trash out with you,
Yeah.
which isn't a big deal.
Nah.
And
It is nice to know, though.
yeah,
And they say it online
I mean,
somewhere.
they said it. They just didn't really say that there wasn't like a grate or a picnic table.
Mm-hmm.
So when you bring your stuff in, and then we're like trying to cook, and we're like using the cooler and like our
Yeah.
fold out chairs.
Yeah.
But I would say like 8 out of 10.
Oh, nice. I mean, for sure, nowhere near a 9 if you ain't got picnic tables and
Yeah, that would be like the thing if they
Yeah.
gave us the picnic table or like a good grate to cook on.
yeah.
But we were just doing hot dogs, and then
I'm not gonna lie, I like the ones at parks where it's like a grill. It's just like a big metal grill cemented into the ground.
yeah,
I mean, obviously it's different because you can't really have like a fire pit there, but I've always been kind of a big fan of those for some reason.
yeah, just like grills hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Angel Creek,
Shout out. Keep doing a good job, but get picnic tables, please.
right? And like the places that were drive up had big open areas, because we drove through and it seemed like people, like friends, had rented this campsites around this one open spot, and they set up like a badminton net, and they had
tight.
kids running around, and it seems like a place if you're gonna like have a family reunion or get a couple groups of friends, you know, and you don't want to get hotel rooms, you can go there and everybody can have a campsite.
Yeah.
But you're close enough that you're still like hanging out together.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and it was the first place that like the guy actually came around.
Oh.
Like because they have cameras and a gate. So when we pulled up to our site, he came by in a gator and was like, "Hey, how you doing? You find it all right? Everything good?" And then at 9:00, he went and checked on all the campsites and was like, "We're going. This is my last check for the night. If you need anything, text me. Any problems, whatever." So he was really nice and definitely that one word. Recommend.
Oh.
So, I don't know why that
I was
one
like,
just ran away.
What word, Dave?
A word? Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge. It was mostly tent camping.
Oh, it is all camping.
All tent camping. I'm not a huge tent camper just because we got the pole behind.
Yeah.
But that thing's essentially a tent on wheels. So
Right. I mean, it's not for that kind of camping.
yeah. But I wouldn't mind roughing it. I wonder what their hours are. I've been wanting to. So Justin X goes down south for deer hunting.
Yeah.
At not Big Bend. Big Bend is around here. Panther Creek, Jim Edgar Panther Creek, in southern Illinois, and he invited me along to camp, and it was really nice to camp later in the year.
Yeah.
And I would love to do like a tent camping like in the winter or something.
Yeah.
And so I haven't really found a good place to do that yet, but so if you have any recommendations out there, you beautiful time travelers, I'm always looking to do a little bit of roughing it in the middle of winter. That's fun for me.
Yeah. Well, there's like a sweet spot I have found. If you check the weather, I'd say between 40 and 60 at night is like those are the perfect ones, because if it's too far below, obviously you need extra equipment and you don't want to freeze. And if it's too far ahead, you're sleeping on top of your bag and you're sweating all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know this about me, Dave, but I have my polar bear badge.
Oh, yeah?
Where you camp in below freezing temperatures overnight.
Yeah.
And you have to make at least 2 meals in the Cub Scouts.
Oh, cool.
And me and the family did that at Loud Thunder's scout camping area. There was Halt Halloween at Loud Thunder.
Yeah.
Is when we did it. A lot of people left
because it was so cold.
But we stuck it out, dude.
Cool.
And it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yes. So what you got, Matt?
Getting back to Endo-Europe. I don't know about endo. I don't know what endo really means, but
it's like Indo, man.
Now, I'm no nuclear scientist.
Endo smells more like outdo.
I'm no nuclear scientist, but that's what we're going to talk about, nuclear science. So if I get some of this stuff wrong, like we said in the beginning, feel free to correct me.
Oh, that's why you put the disclaimer.
I think it's important just for always. Just, cause, I mean, we have 5 listeners, so anybody pretty much listening is new.
Right.
But in 1951, nuclear reactor power started to become more popular and researched and stuff like that.
Yes.
The first reactor was actually the experimental breeder reactor located in National Reactor Testing Station in Idaho. I'm sorry, Idaho. In Idaho. But then in August 15th, 1972, Chernobyl was built in the former Soviet Union. Located in northern Ukraine, approximately 130 miles north of the capital Kyiv.
Yeah.
And like I said, this would have originally been. I think Kyiv was still there, but it was the former Soviet Union.
Yes.
And this was like 5 years before the Soviet Union collapsed. So in April 26th, 1986, the reactor erupts due to both human error and a poor reactor design, and the reactor starts leaking.
Yeah.
It explodes, and radiation starts leaking out from the reactor.
Yeah.
There were 4 reactors there.
Was it something where like they were going to fix a leak in the cooling tank, but then didn't properly discharge the rods or something before the coolant got leaked out?
You kind of got a gist of the story. That's wrong.
Oh, okay.
but you know, and I'll kind of get to a little bit of that.
Yeah, because I thought there was some kind of maintenance or something, but then they just like hosed it up because of like safety protocols weren't followed, or
yeah. So they built this reactor, and it was designed. It has four reactors, a 4-reactor nuclear power station. They designed it to where they have 3 backup generators to move the coolant pumps if there's ever a power failure.
Yeah.
Because without the coolant, that shit will explode.
Yeah, you got to keep the water or whatever cycling through it, because otherwise it gets too hot.
Yep, and then the water within the reactor creates steam.
Yes.
And then that's what moves the turbines to create the power. So the power station needed to test this to make sure that the generators would turn on in time, because it actually would take like a minute or so for the generators to kick on to move the coolant pumps. But they thought that like the turbines within the reactor itself would continue pumping the coolant while the generators were kicking on.
Okay, so it would be like self-sustaining for
at
least a minute.
Yeah. So in 1982, they did their first test. They like created a test where it simulates a power shutdown of the coolant pumps, and then the generators kick on to start them again.
Yeah.
Well, that test did in fact fail. And so I'm assuming they did maintenance or tried to, program stuff. I don't know exactly what you do to fix that kind of issue. And then in 1984, they did another test. Kind of a long time, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But I guess if the reactor's running, there's like, they hired one guy that was like really lucky, and he just like kept his fingers crossed for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that was their fix at that time. But in 1984, they did another test. Again, the system failed.
Yeah.
And then the same thing in 1985. And they alerted the Soviet Union government in Moscow that their tests failed. And the government was like, well, you need to figure it out. And they just kind of like put the screws to them, like, you need to figure this out quick.
Yeah.
So because of these failures, they were only running the reactor at like 25% of its power.
Okay.
To lighten the pressure on the system, so that they potentially wouldn't have a catastrophic event.
Right.
It's like driving really slow so your car doesn't overheat, maybe.
Yeah.
That's like what I would think to an everyday situation.
Sound logic.
But they were going to do this test one more time in 1986. They're going to do this test one more time. I'm assuming they changed stuff on it. I don't know. During the day, there was a coal mine outage, so they needed to keep producing power.
Yeah.
And so the third shift comes in, and they're like, well, the weight on the system to provide power, everybody in the towns are like sleeping, so we shouldn't need that much power. We're going to simulate this test at night. And where do you normally put your new employees? Third shift.
Yeah.
Because all the people with seniority get bumped to first.
Yeah.
So when they're working on this night shift, at this time there's beginning to be a buildup of xenon gas, which is like a fairly heavy gas.
All right.
So like if you put oil on top of water,
Yeah.
or if you put oil underwater, the oil goes to the top.
Yes, oil floats.
Yeah. So the xenon gas is being kind of stored in it. If it was running at 100%, the xenon gas would be like pumping out or like burning off or something like that. So it wouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
But it's only been running at 25%, so there's becoming a buildup of it. And so it keeps some of the steam down.
All right. Because it's heavy.
Heavier, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a blanket of heavier gas over the steam that's trying to escape to spin the turbines.
Yeah.
So the employees on third shift, kind of being the B team, didn't understand that the reactor was operating like on a bog.
Yeah.
It was being bogged down. And the power being put out wasn't as high as they wanted it to be. So we're like, oh, we'll pull the rods out. And these rods are like boron rods that interact with the radiation to slow the effects of the radiation.
Yeah.
But these boron rods had graphite tips. And I don't know if that is to like shield them from the heat or something.
Right.
Whatever the reason is, they had graphite tips on them. So technically, whenever they lower the rods into the reactor, which is like the radioactive shit plus the water, then they lower these graphite tips in. The graphite tips actually accelerate it a little bit before the boron gets in there.
Okay.
And that's important to know in a second. But they were seeing the power not pumping out as much as they thought it should.
Right.
Because of the gas bogging it down. So they pull all the rods out. And it still isn't giving 100%. And they're like they like don't really know why.
Yeah.
But this new employee calls up his supervisor trying to figure out what to do, and he's like, there's an operational instruction, but like on this instruction there's a bunch of shit crossed out.
Okay, like as they were like troubleshooting, they're like,
yeah,
well, this one's bad, this one.
Yeah. And the guy he called is like, well, just do the crossed out stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing to think. And the whole thing like stabilizes.
All right.
Whatever that means. It stabilizes. The output still isn't what they think it should be. And this guy, Anatoly Dyatlov, I don't know, some Russian name. Anatoly. He is kind of in charge, and he doesn't want to look bad because the Soviet government is like putting the screws to this company to be like, you need to fucking figure out this nuclear reactor.
Yeah, because it's huge. It's like a multi-million-dollar reactor.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, we'll just run the system. We'll run the test anyway.
Okay.
And so this causes the system to simulate the power outage, and hopefully the generators will turn on. But and that takes like 60 seconds. 4 seconds into the power outage, the power completely spikes to an unsafe level, and one of the employees hits the AZ5 button or the scram button.
All right.
Which is like a fail-safe to where all the control rods drop into the reactor to like cool it down or whatever.
Yeah, to like neutralize it, kind of.
And like I said before, these have a graphite tip. So there's like, I want to say there's like 200 rods.
Yeah.
All hitting the reactor at the same time, those graphite tips.
Yeah, and it's already spiked.
And so it explodes.
Oh.
And the graphite tips makes it react more, causing a bunch of steam.
Yeah.
Which is held in by the xenon gas, and that's what explodes. It creates so much pressure, it blows the whole fucking thing out.
Yeah, doesn't the top blow off of it?
Yeah, it caused the 10,000-pound reactor lid to blow off the top and straight through the roof.
Jeez.
And it causes like a bunch of radioactive material to go flying. Radiation starts seeping out. The coolant tanks are blown up. And this will lead to an event that releases 400 times the amount of radiation as the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima.
Yeah.
All this happens so fast that many of the people in the power station working, they're like, the U.S. is bombing us. Like, they think it's an act of war. Because it couldn't possibly be the reactor blowing up.
Right.
Because I think at this point, there hasn't been a disaster like this.
No.
And so
I think 3 Mile Island, I want to say was after Chernobyl.
I think it was before.
It was?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think it was this catastrophic.
No, it was just like that one was a failed vent valve that like the light on the board said that it was open, but the valve actually wasn't open, and so then didn't really. It took them a minute to figure out what was going on and everything, and then they got it contained. But that one was more like a huge PR fiasco.
Yeah.
But this one,
and so when it explodes and all this radiation comes out of it, some of the people within like eyesight of it within the covered reactor, and some people within the city near it, which I have written down, but I'm not seeing it off the top of my head because it's kind of a weird name. But
this is the one with the Ferris wheel. It's iconic.
Oh, maybe it starts with a P, and it's somewhere in my notes. I'll get to it, I'm sure. But people in the city see like a beam of light just like shooting out of this thing. Is how like radioactive this thing was.
Yeah.
And some of the first people on the scene were like the fire department, and they're trying to put out fires and stuff because it not only exploded and threw shit everywhere, it started a bunch of fires.
Yeah.
And so you got fires and radiation and shit like that, and the fire department's there trying to put it out. Several workers died on the scene. Some more died from direct radiation within a few days. As the radiation seeped out, it gave a lot of the workers, firefighters, eventually the military, and then like approximately 20% of the surrounding area, the city, radiation poisoning. And it's kind of like from what I got from this, radiation poisoning it's not going to kill you like a fire.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're in a fire, it'll definitely burn you.
Yeah.
But this seemed like you just have a lot higher likelihood of getting sick really bad.
Yeah.
So what the radiation does is it breaks down your cellular atoms and kills your tissues. It eventually destroy like your digestive tract and let all that bacteria loose in your body, and then your bone marrow starts breaking down and stops producing white blood cells to fight that bacteria and infection. It causes blisters on the skin, vomiting, diarrhea, eventually blood poisoning, and sepsis. Is kind of the general cycle of this radiation poisoning. And like for many of these people that were affected to this degree, about 20% of the population there, and I'm sorry I didn't get that number exactly, but it was so damaging that even like blood and bone marrow transfusions didn't help them.
Yeah.
Many of the radiated who eventually passed away had to get buried in zinc caskets beneath a bunch of concrete
because they were so radioactive.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But also radiation doesn't transfer from a person to other people. So I'm not sure if that was just like a we got to be safe about this because we don't know too much about it. And then some of the things that the government did, and this was all within like 36 hours, a lot of this stuff. It was all pretty quick, even to the point where some people within the confines of the power station didn't believe that the reactor had exploded. They thought it was like just a coolant tank, or like reactors don't explode,
right,
bro? You know, but obviously they were wrong. So the government ended up like quickly cutting phone lines and quarantining the city so that press didn't get out.
Yeah.
And they didn't have bad publicity. And I think also part of it was because they didn't know enough about radioactive people,
right,
to where they didn't want those people going out into the world and like just creating mass chaos in the next town over.
Yeah, quarantine the whole place.
Yeah.
And also, I think I heard something where they also didn't want the U.S., their Cold War opposite, to know that they had this disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of like the cutting the phone lines and stuff.
Yeah.
So nothing was really told to the public until about 30 hours after the incidents, where they were told the civilians they just told them to pack your things. There's the undesirable amounts of radiation. Turn off all your appliances and leave.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really tell them how dangerous things were, even though from what I had heard, the explosion sent radioactive material all the way to this town.
Yeah.
And so like, from what it sounded like, a lot of it was on fire, so they would just like put out the fire and then like they'd be picking up this radioactive shit.
Oh, just with their hands.
Yeah, because they didn't know. They weren't told.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was not known too much at this time. But either way, eventually like Sweden, which is 1,500 miles away from here, detected excess radiation coming from Chernobyl. And they put that on the news.
Yeah.
And then eventually America started getting satellite imagery of it.
Yeah.
And then that did start that media war that you're kind of talking about.
Okay.
And a lot of it was misinformation, like, oh, the Russians are so incompetent and they're just trying to kill their people with radiation and they don't care at all.
Yeah.
And some of it may have been true, because that's kind of a little bit about the collapse of the Soviet Union, is they just didn't take care of everything well enough.
Yeah, because there was a story later on where there was this town that they built to house some of the people that were displaced by Chernobyl, but they used building material and gravel from the site, so the buildings themselves were like radioactive, and they were like, why are these people getting cancer? And they finally tested the cinder blocks and they're like, this is all radioactive.
That's funny. And so they start working on containing it as well, when the people within Chernobyl kind of accept what's going on, and then the government shows up because they didn't know the extent. And they first start having like helicopters dumping sand and boron onto the radioactive.
Yeah, to try to tamp it down.
Yeah. And so it explodes. Radiation is just like exploding up in this like light of and they're having helicopters fly over it,
right,
and like having firemen go up to the top and like spray water down to get rid of the fires and stuff. And a lot of the first firefighters that went up there dead. They went up the ladder, never came back. And eventually like the military and like first responders, they were only allowed to go up there for like 45 minutes, and then they had to come down. And I'm sure they probably got hella sick too. But your body can, in shorter stints, your body can recover from the radiation poisoning. But also, 20 years later you get cancer. That's probably from that too.
Right.
But enter the Chernobyl Suicide Squad. This refers to a group of 3 plant workers: Alexia Ananenko, Valery Bezpalov, and Boris Baranov, who volunteered to go into the flooded, highly radioactive basement. It was like voluntold, I think is really what it was. To go into the radioactive basement of the destroyed reactor to drain the system suppression pools and prevent a potentially second catastrophic steam explosion. Because everybody's, the fire department's pouring in water. They flooded the reactor with a bunch of coolant water. And the shit was burning so hot they thought that another explosion would happen. It sounded like, looking back, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But at the time, you got to be doing
they
something.
didn't know.
Yeah. it was portrayed as a like a heroic, likely fatal mission to save the area, but in reality, they went in, did it, left, and they all lived pretty long lives from what it sounded like.
Okay.
So once they did that, the government was worried about the nuclear reaction burning through the cement it was sitting on.
Yeah.
And getting into drinking water.
Okay.
And poisoning like the entire area.
Yeah.
And so they had like 400 miners called in to dig shafts under Chernobyl so like air could get under it and cool off the ground.
Yeah.
And cool it kind of from the underside too.
Because I think they called that the China syndrome. Because they thought that it would keep burning and then burn through, and then like digging a hole to China. They thought it would keep just going.
Yeah, that totally sounds like some shit they would think of.
Yeah.
But you'd think once it got to the center of the Earth, it would stop.
Or once it hit the magma, but they didn't know what would happen if all this radioactive stuff hits like
blow the Earth apart.
The core, yeah.
And then after they did that, they brought in robots to remove a bunch of the debris.
Okay, they had robots back then?
Yeah, probably pretty simple, just like tracked arm grapple things.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like a bomb robot. Just a super simple
thing.
What
year was this? The 1980?
86.
Oh, okay. So like that robot from Rocky 3 or whatever?
I can't think of that, but maybe.
Paulie gets a robot.
Yeah, it's probably got like 8 car batteries on it or something.
Yeah. Radio Shack stamped on the side.
Yeah. So they bring in these robots. Well, they all fucking break down because of the radiation.
Yeah.
They don't work, and the work has to be done by like 600,000 people.
Ooh.
But like the divers and the miners and this debris crew were all given protective equipment.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things like you were talking about. From what it heard, and I didn't look up any specific newscasts from it, but it sounded like there was a lot of misinformation that they were just like sending people in naked to clean up this radiation, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah. Because I think they have these cards, and if your color changes, you got too much and you got to get out.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Well, and even at the time, like we're kind of talking about, they didn't know too much about the effects of radiation poisoning. So people had to move to other towns, people would like cross the street to not walk by them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be rough. Tainted.
But I wanted to do this kind of deep dive. Actually before that, eventually the nuclear power plant gets like a structure built over it by the former Soviets. Built in approximately 7 months. It was designed to only last for about 20 years.
Okay.
It wasn't completely sealed. Like the joints were just kind of thrown together. They weren't like welded or riveted shut.
Yeah, because they called it like the cap or something.
Yeah, it was essentially supposed to be a Band-Aid over the situation.
Yeah, because in my brain, I didn't do the research, but when they talked about it, I always picture like them coming over with like 4 helicopters and just like dropping this thing on top of it.
That's some shit like out of Simpsons or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they expected the radiation to have gone away or to have figured out a different idea. But after that 20 years, the radiation hadn't gone away.
Yeah.
And they realized they needed to build a bigger structure. So in 2006, like an actual confinement sarcophagus was built.
Okay.
And this was like I want to say it was like a 40-foot double-walled structure with waterproof insulation in between the 2 walls.
Yeah.
And like an air duct system that would lower the atmospheric pressure on the inside so that it would suck in clean air from the outside.
Yeah.
To continue the cooling process, and so all that radiation didn't get out. This thing was designed to withstand earthquakes and tornadoes, and the reason I wanted to research this was because recently I found out in February of 2022, Russia, at the beginning of the war, sent a drone attack to this sarcophagus and blew a fucking hole in the side of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't hear about that.
And so the way it hit this sarcophagus, the Russians hit the sarcophagus, it eliminated the effectiveness of the air duct system.
Yeah.
That atmospheric pressure, because there's a fucking hole in the side of it.
Yeah.
It also set some of the waterproof insulation on fire.
Yeah.
So now you have, if it rains or it gets humid, that insulation isn't there to protect the interior from corrosion. And also, it was on fire, so they had to put it out. So they were dumping a bunch of water on it and making new holes because, it's like, I can't think of anything that's like really double canned.
Yeah.
But the fire was in between the two walls.
Yeah.
So they had to like poke extra holes in it to douse the internal fires.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know why they would have done something like that other than maybe to take resources away from Ukraine or something is maybe my best guess.
Or just to fuck them up.
Yeah. But I also looked at a map, and so Chernobyl is pretty much as high north as you can get, dead center of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, Ukraine kind of goes up on either side.
Yeah.
And Kiev is like pretty northern center. Chernobyl's right above that. So whatever borders the northern part of that. And Russia has been attacking from like Crimea that they've taken is like the very southern point of Ukraine.
Yeah.
So they sent this drone and attacked the nuclear site on the complete opposite side of Ukraine as they're trying to annex from them.
Very, very targeted.
Yeah. And I heard about that drone strike a little while ago, and I've been meaning to hit this topic, but I just thought that was interesting. Like, I haven't heard anything about what they're doing now, and I didn't get to what they're doing about it now yet.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe I can give an update on that later, or look it up yourselves. If you don't want to wait that long.
Because that's almost like trying to get someone to say uncle.
Yeah.
Like, oh, did you blow a hole in that? And then they're like, oh, shit. And they're like, well, we have the resources to fix it if you just, like, stop this, war you got going on.
Yeah, I almost imagine, like, when the Soviet Union collapsed, those are, like, documents that they, like, burned or something. Like, we can't let the rest of the world know about this. We got to keep it hidden. Because that was kind of what they were trying to do. They're trying to seem like nothing happened.
Yeah.
They were just kind of sweeping it under the rug, trying to take care of it. But with satellite images.
Yeah.
And the literal seepage of radiation.
Right. It's a little bit bigger than an oil spill.
Yeah.
In Siberia,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's tons of those, too, that they don't talk about. There's, like, lakes of oil that...
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn. The next episode.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Oh, well. Put it on the list.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to our oil spills episode.
Yeah, you should check that one out. It's sad.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Do you know the origin of a marathon?
Of a marathon?
Yeah.
I would almost guess goes back to something with like Greek or Roman.
Yeah. In ancient Greek, there was a guy, Phydipides. Yes, and he was
Phydipides nut.
And he was a messenger, and he ran from Marathon to Athens to let them know that the Greeks had won victory over the Persians, because I guess he saw a Greek ship or a Persian ship starting to sail towards Athens, and he thought they would be like, oh, your forces, we've taken them, like, surrender to us. So he like just took off running and ran 22 miles nonstop. He ditched his weapons, his armor, his clothes, just so he wasn't burdened by anything. Ran all the way to Athens, these 22 miles, and burst into the assembly hall and was like, we've won victory against Persia, and then died.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah. And so that's why in the Olympic Games they run marathons, but technically marathons are like 25 to 26 miles.
Okay.
So they run a little extra nowadays.
Yeah.
But
ideally not to your death.
Well, ideally, but the Olympics in 1904, which was hosted in St. Louis.
Oh no.
This was St. Louis, Missouri, and it was the third ever Olympic Games.
Oh really?
Yeah, and of course it was the first because it was in Athens.
Like the third ever
modern
official. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's still
modern,
1904, so modern-ish.
yeah.
Yeah. But
what we think of the Olympic Games.
Yeah,
because it's like structured off of something.
the Greek kind of games. But yeah, there was one in the first one was Athens, and then London or Paris, and then St. Louis, Missouri. And the only reason they got the Olympics because it was going to be held in Chicago, but St. Louis had the World's Fair going on at the time.
Okay.
And they were like, well, we should just have the Olympics because we already have the World Fair here, and everybody's going to be here for that. And the Olympic Committee was like, well, they're either going to go to one or the other, so why not kind of combine them so then we can get more money, sales and revenue and, all that stuff. But during this time, there was also the it was called the Russo-Japanese War.
Oh, okay.
But it was between Russia and Japan. And
Japan is so small.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they put up a lot of fight.
Yeah, they do a lot of fighting. Yeah, Russo-Japanese War. But it's Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. So Russia wasn't sending anybody. Japan wasn't sending anybody. Korea wasn't going to send anybody. And a lot of countries were like, no. Because they also cited that back then you'd have to take a boat, and then you'd have to take like a 1,000-mile train trip. So it wasn't like
you're training up until the day and you just take a flight.
Yeah, because it's gonna take you 2 months to get there or whatever.
Yeah.
So something like only 62 nations showed up, or no, 15 nations.
15, okay.
Yeah, 15 nations showed up. And to put that in perspective, the last Olympics that was held, there was 206 nations.
Whoa.
Yeah. And out of the 15 nations that show up, there was 651 participants.
Okay.
And 62 of those were from outside of North America.
Oh.
The rest of them came from Canada and the United States.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then like the Olympics that just happened had 2,900 participants. So there's a big gap there. And most of it was kind of like a sideshow to the World's Fair. So like they'd be like, oh, let's go watch the guys throw discs today. It wasn't like people were rooting and the gold medals meant a lot like they do now.
Yeah.
But they were going to run a marathon, and it was 1,500 yards, 24.85 miles, and it, for some reason, well, there's a reason. There was a guy, James Sullivan, who was the chief organizer of the marathon, and it was also back in the day when they didn't really know the effects of dehydration on the human body.
Okay.
So he got this great idea to see what happens when you dehydrate the human body. So he decided that they were going to run 5 laps in the stadium and then go out and run the rest of the marathon in the country.
Okay.
And there was only one water stop or water station, and it was a well water, 12 miles, like at the halfway point. And they decided to start the marathon at 3:00 at night instead, because normally marathons are run first light, and in like 50s to 60 degree weather. In St. Louis on that day at 3:00, it was like well over 100 degrees with humidity.
Did you say what time of year this was?
Summertime Olympics.
That makes
August. I want to say it was in August.
Okay, yeah, that adds up.
Yeah. There was 41 people slated to run, and only 14 people finished. So that's like 34%, like actually finished.
Damn.
And once they got out of the stadium, they were pretty much just running on gravel roads and dirt roads. Like, there was a guy.
It was July 1st to November.
Oh.
So, it could have been August for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere other than November would be just hellish.
Yeah. There was a guy, Fred Lores, who I've heard that he was like a bricklayer from Brooklyn or Boston that won a race to be able to compete in the Olympics. Like, just like a, hey, we're going to put on a race here today, and whoever wins gets the chance at the Olympics. But I also heard that he won the Boston Marathon of that year or whatever.
Okay.
So then he got to go. But he ran the stadium part and only got 4 blocks away from the stadium before he got violent cramps and started throwing up. So he had to he just pretty much quit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people, there was a guy, William Garcia, who, because they're running on these gravel roads, and a lot of them have flimsy shoes, so there's big rocks, and there's like all this dirt and dust, and of course the Model Ts and stuff are new,
making big ruts in the road.
Yeah, but they also have to like keep track of these runners. You know, they're running out in the country, they just can't let them go and then come back, whatever. They got to make sure they're on track. So their support team would ride in front of them, so they were kicking up all this dust and all this hot dust, and like there's pictures where it's like just so hazy with dust. And this guy William Garcia started coughing up blood and just like couldn't breathe and like passed out, and they found out that his stomach lining was all rubbed raw from breathing in all the dust, and his
sarcophagus?
Not sarcophagus.
Esophagus.
Yeah, it was just like coated in thick dirt from
Yeah.
just breathing this all in. And there was a couple of people, like there were these 2 South African fellows who were there for the World's Fair because back in 1904 they had a thing called the Human Zoo.
I think I remember hearing about that. Because I just recently watched a documentary about the World's Fair, and it had a lot of sketches.
Yeah.
But it also had like some photos. But yeah, they had like tribal people there.
Yeah.
That were just like living there, kind of
Right.
as like a zoo type.
Yeah, so people
show.
could come and look at them.
Yeah.
Because they were part of the Zhuani tribe, and they just needed more participants from different nations. So they were like, oh yeah, we'll run, because they were actually like back in South Africa, they were messengers and different things, so they were used to running long distances. And so they were like, yeah, sure, we'll run, but they didn't have shoes. So they ran barefoot. And one of them
Still beat all these white dudes.
No, but one of them got chased like miles off track by wild dogs.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And then there was this guy, Felix Carbajal. He was a Cuban mailman.
Okay.
Who, back in Cuba, he really wanted to run the marathon in the Olympics. So while he was delivering mail, he would put on little like running expeditions to raise money. And he even ran the whole length of Cuba to raise money to get enough money to get to the States to do the Olympics.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he got enough money, and he got himself passage, and he sails all the way to New Orleans, and then on like the first or second night he's in the States, he gets really drunk and gambles and loses all of his money. And he gets robbed of all of his stuff.
Oh no.
So he's just got the clothes on his back, And he ends up walking, running, and hitching rides to get to St. Louis to run in the marathon. And he pretty much pulls up like on a fruit truck or whatever, like in the back with some chickens.
Yeah, like a movie.
Yeah, like right when the race is starting. And there's pictures of him. He's in just like a work shirt and like heavy hiking boots, and he's wearing a beret. And he had long pants on, but one of the other runners was like, "You're gonna need shorts," so they just cut his pants off. And he takes off running. He actually does pretty decent, but he hadn't eaten for at least 40 hours before that because he'd lost all his money and he'd been hitchhiking. So he's running, and he finds, at first, this car pulls up because they didn't block any of the roads off. They were just told him the way to go. And so there were like tractors and trolleys and trains and people driving by on their, and these people drive by and they're eating peaches. He's like, "Can I get some of those?" And they're like, "No." So he steals two and just like books it. And he finds an apple orchard, and he just eats like a couple of the apples that are on the ground. But
that's not a great idea.
Yeah, takes a couple bites of one and realizes it's rotten, and he starts getting a bunch of stomach cramps and gets sick, and like he ends up taking a nap. But he sleeps it off and wakes up and ends up finishing the race, 4th place.
Damn.
Yeah. And I think the two South African guys are 2nd and 3rd.
Okay.
Even after getting ran off the track,
by
miles
wild dogs.
by wild dogs. Yeah, but the guy who won was Thomas Hicks, and he's running, and his chaperone or official person is this James Sullivan, the guy who wanted to know what happens to people who get dehydrated.
Okay.
And so, of course, he's running, and he's like getting weak, and he's coughing. There's all this dust. They get past the halfway point, and so he has no more water, and he starts asking him for water. And so Sullivan is like, "Well, you can't have any water, but I'll take this damp sponge and wipe out your mouth." So they do that, and then he gives him egg whites.
Damn.
Because he thought maybe that would hydrate him. So he's got egg whites. They're sponging his mouth out, which probably makes it extra dry. He starts like kind of seizing up. So they're like, "Oh, we have this pill that's like," because back then you could use enhancing, like
performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, performance enhancing drugs. So they give him small doses of cyanide.
Oh shit, that's poison.
Yeah, but their thought is because the poison, how it works is it suppresses your nervous system.
Okay.
So if it suppresses your nervous system just a little bit, then your body can't tell your brain that it's in pain, and you can keep going.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's going, and he's like all fucked up, and he's like, I need water. So they're like, "Well, here, have this pint of brandy."
What?
So he's running, drinking brandy. Sometimes they'll wipe out his mouth. They'll give him some egg whites. He runs out of brandy, and this farmer just sitting on his porch watching is like, gives him another pint, like, "Here you go, boy." And he's like really losing it because he's like maybe 5 miles away from the finish line. And old Fred Lores, the guy from Boston, has slept off his cramps, and he was getting a ride back he hitched a ride back to the stadium.
Okay.
And then he's like, "Well, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and run the rest of the way." So he's like, he thanks him for the ride, and he starts running, and he passes Thomas. And Thomas is like, "What the fuck?" Because this guy's all fresh and just like tootling along. And he's like poisoned and thirsty and like going cross-eyed. He starts hallucinating, and he kind of loses hope. So they give him some more cyanide and some more like egg whites. And then his like his like appendages start freezing up. So he's just like shuffling. And they pretty much, his handlers just start carrying him because back then that was allowed.
Yeah.
So he's like dragging his feet barely, and they're like, come on, let's go." And then we get to the stadium.
As long as his feet are technically contacting the earth.
Yeah. And when they get to the stadium, the crowd is already cheering, and they're holding a ceremony for Fred because they thought that he won. even though
and he wasn't gonna say no,
right,
because that seems like the guy.
but
he
as soon
is.
as like they saw and they're like, what? And then some other spectators came and was like, this guy's disqualified. He was like, oh, I was just joking. It's a joke. And then so
boo,
right.
boo.
So then Thomas ended up winning, but they'd already done all the fun stuff, and he was like ashen and like gray, and he was hallucinating. And they said in that because he finished in 3 hours. Pretty sure it's 3 hours, 28 minutes, and 53 seconds, and he had lost 8 pounds.
Oh,
and it's either. Because I'm pretty sure it's not 31 hours. I'm sure it's 3 hours.
Average marathon time is around 4.5 hours. So that would make sense for like an Olympic runner.
Yeah, and he took a half hour longer than anybody that's completed the marathon since. So even the slowest runner of any other marathon that they ran in the Olympics, he was still a half hour longer than they were.
Okay. Because he was like dehydrated.
Yeah, and
because he was dying.
He was dying. Yeah, it took them working on him for like 4 hours before he was well enough at the stadium to then put him in an ambulance and take him to the hospital. Yeah,
did that guy learn anything about dehydration?
That people need water, and it's a really good thing to keep have people have water, because of the 41 people that started, a lot of them when they got to the halfway point and they got to the water station, they were dehydrated and they were so thirsty that they were just gulping it down.
Mm-hmm. And that can make you sick.
Yeah, and it's well water. Yeah. So if you're not used to the water in that area, it made them extra sick because of whatever was in the water.
They say don't drink the water.
Yeah, in theory.
It depends on where you're from, because like the microbiome or whatever is different.
Yeah. Well, I saw this thing, Steve-O talking one time, and he travels a lot, and he said when he was a kid he took a trip to Egypt and they told him not to drink the water, but then he watched the guy just walk down to the Nile and drink some and then brush his teeth and then like go about his way, and he's like, well, if that guy can do it. So he said like ever since then, anywhere he would go, he would brush his teeth with the water and take a big gulp of it, and he said he'd never really gotten sick since then.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I might still drink my Fiji water.
Yeah, just get a big case of water. Yeah, but that was the 1904 Olympics.
Damn, how exciting.
Yeah, what a time.
Yeah, to be alive. You don't even know about dehydration yet.
Right. Or that you could just like raise the money to go run in the Olympics.
Yeah, as opposed to like being selected or something.
Yeah, and having to like train and go through all these like vetting processes.
Yeah, because I don't know how, like, do they have like general competition like that Phelps dude?
Yeah,
like he was swimming all the time.
Yeah,
but are there like, there's marathons all the time and you can win money to like sustain yourself, but is there like shit like that for swimming and stuff? I don't know.
I think it's more like there's competitions. They're just not like televised,
and like sponsorships and stuff,
and then you have to get sponsors, or if the Olympic camp picks you, then you can go stay with them and you get like some money, but then you live at the camp. Like they provide you with the food and your clothes and a place to stay. So if they're giving you $100 a week, it's still pretty good because everything else is taken care of. But where you make your money is sponsorships.
Yeah, which kind of makes me. There was another thing that I had heard about a long time ago. The Bungle in the Jungle. You ever heard of that?
No,
I didn't research it, but it's in my list to research. And then also what was like the most recent fudging soccer tournament, like FIFA World Championship, and it was in like the Middle East or something, and it was like awful.
Right.
It kind of makes me think of that, like how everything is just like not really up to a current standard to us today.
Right.
And that obviously has the excuse of being like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
120 years ago.
It's just people not knowing.
Yeah.
Because you were saying like that soccer tournament and stuff not being up to snuff. for some reason that reminded me of one of the first seasons of Survivor,
Mm.
where they either went to Africa or Australia,
Yeah.
and they pretty much just put them in the desert, and they're like, "Oh, this is Survivor. You survive," and the contestants were just like laying there, like it was just too hot and too sunny, and they kind of like learned from that. They're like, "Oh, we can't actually like make them survive."
An unsurvivable situation.
Yeah, like they got to give them a lot of creature comforts and stuff.
Which I whenever I think of Survivor, I think of like on the beach, so you have access to like fish and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's come a lot, because the last one I saw, I'm like, every other thing is like a food challenge.
Yeah,
And
that eventually became Fear Factor too, right?
well, I mean, like a challenge to win food.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
oh, so like every other day, they're like, want a cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, they'd be like, oh, we can. You're gonna do this challenge and get pointy sticks. You know.
Yeah.
They don't really do that too much anymore. Where they're like, go kill a chicken.
I think Survivor's still on the air, and I think it's like one of the, if not the oldest, like reality shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think not this season, but next year's season is going to be the 50th.
50.
Yeah.
That can't be right, because it came on when we were alive.
They do 2 seasons a year.
Oh, so like 25 years.
25
It'll
years, but
be the 50th season.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, what a way to get around it.
Yeah.
It's a good show, though. I used to like to watch it a lot.
I watched the last season because I finally got one of those digital bunny ears.
Oh, okay.
And
I
then-
didn't consider that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you can watch Survivor. So we watched last season, and probably going to watch this one coming up too.
That would be fun to. It's almost like a throwback concept
Yeah.
to watch TV as it's airing, as opposed to streaming it all.
Yeah, because we'd like, it was like appointment TV or whatever
Yeah,
they call it.
yeah.
And so we'd be like, oh, it's Thursday. It was either Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursdays at 5, 7.
8.
Oh,
Because it was an hour and a half, and it was 9:30. So
an
the kids
hour and
got-
a half?
Yeah.
Oh, they had to go to bed
Right
halfway
after.
through? Oh, right after.
Yeah.
Dad, can we stay up and watch Survivor?
Yeah.
I don't want to go to bed yet.
I got to see who wins.
That's a good time. Well, thanks so much for listening, folks.
Yes, thank you guys.
A little bit about radiation and dehydration, baby.
Yes. All the Asians.
Asian ideation. Thanks for listening. Do whatever you want. If you want to like, comment, Facebook it.
Subscribe,
Yeah.
share,
We're here
show
if you,
a friend.
We're here if you need us.
Yeah.
So just make sure you be good to yourselves.
Yes, and remember, music is the wine that fills the cup of silence.
Ooh.
Hold on.
I'm leaving this in.
Oh shit.